I'm going to switch languages really quickly before introducing our next panel, because it'll be in English, if I have my notes right. This next interview is dedicated to quantum computing, which has been touched on this afternoon, but we're really going to dive deeper into talking about how it is a game changer for the tech world. And we are so thrilled to have the CEO of SandboxAQ, Jack Hidary, with us for this exclusive interview with François Barrault. We can give them a big round of applause.
Rebonjour à toutes et à tous. Alors, le quantique, on en parle depuis assez longtemps. On a reçu d'ailleurs Thierry Breton quand il était patron d'Atos en 2019, où il a vanté les mérites de l'ordinateur quantique. Il est revenu en 2020 en tant que commissaire européen. On a reçu aussi Charles Becbédé. Charles, tu es là, non? Voilà. En 2019, un an après avoir monté son fonds. Et là, on a la chance d'avoir un ami de 20 ans, parce qu'on s'est connus. Moi, j'étais mince et lui avait des cheveux, donc c'était il y a très longtemps. Et on n'a jamais, on a toujours gardé contact ensemble. Comment ça va, Jack?
Ça va bien.
Alors, tu sais qu'on va parler français, hein?
Il y a 25 ans, j'ai étudié à Paris, mais plus facile parler en anglais.
Okay, then let's switch to English. So, 8 years ago, I think it was 2014, 2015, you're the first person who talk about quantum. Today we've talked about Gen AI, we've talked about LLM also this morning in a session. Can you explain us in simple words what quantum means for you and what can we do with that?
Yeah, first of all, great to be here. Great to be in this fantastic venue with you, François, and with the entire group here. Quantum computing is part of how we will change today and the future. Both AI and quantum are the two best tools we will have to make positive change in the world, but also, as we'll discuss today, they're two of the biggest threats. The president of Île-de-France, Hidary, talked about cybersecurity. We'll talk about that. We have to think about both the positive aspects of AI and quantum, but also the impact and the cybersecurity impact. So what is quantum? Our world is made of atoms. We are made of atoms. We're not made of bits. And 99% of the silicon sector, the tech sector, be it here in France, in America, in England, anywhere place, has been around bits, has been around, let's have productivity software, let's have databases, let's have the cloud. All good stuff, all necessary. But the bigger market, the bigger impact we can have on our world is the world of atoms. And this world is governed by quantum mechanics. So if we want to make better batteries for electric vehicles, if we want to have faster drug discovery for Alzheimer's, for brain cancer, for pancreatic cancer, for diseases that do not have medicines today, then we need the world of quantum. The world of bits can take us a bit far, but ultimately, this is governed by the world of quantum. So that's why this is so important. And the second point, François, I'd like to make is that quantum is not just about quantum computing. I know mostly in the press we hear about quantum computing. We love quantum computing. But there are quantum technologies that are here today, right now. An example would be quantum sensing. So if you go to your doctor, if you go to the hospital, and they want to check out your heart, today we use ECG, electrocardiography, and we see how your heart is doing. That gives us very limited information, and we know that many of the kinds of heart attacks go undetected by the ECG. But there's another technology driven and powered by quantum, and that is MCG, magnetocardiography. The ability to look not at the electric impulse of your heart, François, but to look at the magnetic field of the heart. That is a quantum sensor. That is here today. That is in hospitals today. And so in the next 12, 24, 36 months, not 10 years from now, in the next few years, each of us will start to see these quantum sensors as diagnostic tools in hospitals, right here in France and around the world. And this revolution is made possible, François, because of both the quantum sensor to detect this very faint magnetic field of the heart. Every one of us here is emitting a very faint magnetic field right now from your hearts, but also the GPU and the AI model that sits with the sensor to detect with the heartbeat and distinguish it from the magnetic field of this microphone or your iPhone or other kinds of devices. So the AI and quantum together, this is the key synergy that actually brings these kinds of technologies to life. So quantum, in general, is the world of the physical world, the world that we want to impact for energy, for drug discovery, for many other areas of our lives. But it's not just computing. It is sensing, it's communications. There's many areas that will come way before quantum computing.
So in the sequence, we grew up in the analog world, you know, sinusoid. Then we met the digital world, 0-1. So quantum is the future, and it's very close to the nature, to the human being. Jack, since I know you, you've always been ahead of the game. You know, the first person I've heard talking about quantum. By the way, Jack wrote a book in 2019 with a release, second release in 2012, 2022, bestseller. By the way, you should buy this book because it is the best sleeping pill I know, because after 3 pages...
If you have any, that's what François and I say.
I sleep.
Any trouble sleeping, I guarantee 5 pages in, you're done.
No,
you're done.
I've reached 3 only, so I need to train a little bit. So since I know you, you always think ahead of the time of the game. And today we spoke about 2030, 2050, which is only 27 years, by the way, from now. So how is it possible to have bet 7, 8 years ago that quantum and AI will power the innovation, and how quantum will turbocharge, to paraphrase my friend Patrick Nicolet. Patrick, you here? Yes, I love this phrase. How quantum will turbocharge AI in the future, the combination of the two.
So one of the reasons why we have an AI revolution right now, AI has been around now for decades. I started building my first deep learning networks back in the 90s, applying them to brain images when I was a scientist at the NIH. But one of the reasons why we're all talking about LLMs now is because of the data that's available to train the AIs, but also the chips. These GPUs from a number of companies around the world, these GPUs, initially the G in GPU, of course, François, for graphics. So anyone here with a teenager or kid who's playing video games, when you go home, please thank them, because they're the reasons why we have these GPUs that are driving this revolution. But now we have taken these GPUs to the next stage. Stage 2 of GPUs is for deep learning, is for the LLMs, and that's wonderful. And what we realized, François, about 7, 8 years ago is that the same GPUs, these same chips, by NVIDIA, by Alphabet, by many, many other companies out there, would also power the third revolution, a revolution of running the quantum equations from Dirac, from Schrödinger, from Heisenberg, from Niels Bohr, from Einstein. These equations from 100 years ago, we never had the opportunity to actually use them in real life until 2 years ago. We made a prediction, François, Sergey Brin, myself, and a few others. We said that by the year 2021, the GPUs would get good enough to run these equations. So the big breakthrough we had is that we did not have to wait for the quantum computer. As much as that will add to it, that will even add more fuel, the GPUs themselves allow us to take a molecule that's maybe a good possible drug for brain cancer, for Alzheimer's. Still to today, after 40 years of research, we do not have a good drug for Alzheimer's. Everyone here in this room is affected, their families are affected by Alzheimer's, dementia, ALS, any of these diseases. We don't have good drugs. So what we do is we take a digital twin of that molecule, of the idea of the structure. We then run billions of simulations on large-scale arrays of GPUs, and this allows us, François, to optimize and create a better drug before it gets to the first human. We put it into a virtual human in the computer system before it gets to clinical studies. This, hopefully, can start to change the game in pharma. One of the reasons why we're working with Sanofi right here in France is because right now the clinical trial success rate Any guesses of the success rate? The success rate is only 10% around the world. In Europe, in the US, in Canada, around the world, only 1 out of 10 drugs that go into clinical trial come out successful. We must change this. If we want to have drugs faster, if we want to have drugs that are less expensive, because right now, François, that one drug that succeeds has to pay for all the losses of the other 9. And so we have to make sure that we can get into clinical trial with better drugs. And the only way to do that, AI is a piece of it, but quantum is ultimately what governs the interaction of that molecule into our body. And this is why this revolution of AI and quantum, AQ, is so important.
So if we make some prediction, you've spoken about today, what's happening today, 2030 and 2050. Which other industry, you talk about sensing, navigation, medtech, post-quantum crypto?
So first, energy. We all want to see an energy transition. Here in France, we're very blessed in France to have the majority of power, almost all the power, coming from low carbon output and zero carbon output sources. But we also want to see that happen on the roads. Right now, every country, we're still burning too much fossil fuels in our cars and our buses, and so we want to go to electric. Well, key to electric, of course, is the batteries. Lithium-ion technology, we have not seen a change much in 40 years. We had lithium-ion 40 years ago. We've seen incremental improvements in today's batteries that you see in today's cars, but we need a revolution there. When you look at the periodic table, François, there's 10 to the 117. That's 14 trillions of possibilities of making new kinds of battery chemistry. There is no human team that can possibly make all those prototypes. Our only hope is to use quantum techniques with AI to find optimized solutions for better battery chemistry that will leapfrog today's batteries. Imagine a car that would take us, to 1,500 kilometers on one charge. Imagine a battery that could recharge just in 10 or 15 minutes to get to 80, 90%. So we're making progress, but we need to make more progress in terms of moving off of fossil fuels. COP is happening starting today, tomorrow in Dubai. And one of the key discussions is how do we move to the new energy transition? This is important. So that's one area. Second is back to medtech and healthcare. We talked about drug discovery, but let's talk about healthcare itself, preventative healthcare. All of our healthcare systems around the world, unfortunately, are too reactive. We only treat somebody when they have a disease. One of the reasons why each of us, I'm sure, has had this experience, we hear about a friend had a heart attack, but just 3 months ago, they went to the doctor and they got a good, clean bill of health, a good physical. That's because our diagnostic tools are not good enough yet. We must have a better diagnosis tool to listen to the body. This is where, again, quantum and AI can have a revolution. But not 10, 20 years from now. I hope in the next 3 to 4 years.
Last question, Jack. Tell us a little bit the story of SandboxAQ. I love how it, from Silicon Valley, from Google, from Alphabet. And do you think it will be the first quantum unicorn?
Well, it's very interesting. When we realized, Sergey Brin and others had called me up a number of years ago and said, we're creating something called Alphabet. And Alphabet is going to be this superstructure that will own Google, but also have the ideas of new ideas that would change the world, impact the world. And so I came in and started building a team with the leadership at Alphabet. And we really saw years and years ago, 7, 8 years ago, that we could have an impact if we brought these two technologies together. Eric Schmidt joined us around the year 2020. He had wrapped up his chairmanship. He was CEO of Google and then chairman of Google. And then about 2 years ago, we realized now it's time to spin out. It's time for the kid to go to college. And we decided to go and spin out. One, because we had to make sure, François, that we worked with a wide range of technologies. Amazon, Microsoft, other providers here in France. We're a multi-local company. So we went from just being in Palo Alto, California, to now being in 13 countries. We have a big base here in Paris. Some of my French team is here, and we can't even bring everyone here because they're all over France. We hired people from the Polytechnique, from ENS, from CNRS. We have Carlos Aguilar, one of the foremost people in quantum and AI, who was at Professor of Toulouse, and also CNRS before that. He now joined us. So we're building this deep, deep PhD base, a deep base. Eric Lebay is here, who just stepped down as head of Polytechnique, and we do a lot with that school and many other schools here. It's about investing in the local areas. It's about investing in the local universities. We co-train PhDs with the universities here in France because we have to prepare to have a cohort of individuals who understand this nexus of AI and quantum. We have to bring the disciplines together. And this is what is so exciting that's happening right now, both for the many positive things we talked about, but also to defend against the cyber attack. Because AI and quantum, we have to make sure that as banks, telcos, trains, logistics, healthcare, hospitals, government, all these are under attack right now by AI. AI is the most powerful hacker tool that humans have ever invented. We must protect that, and so that's why we launched the Cyber Division. And then, François, we raised $500 million this past December in one round, and we raised that money from independent investors, from Eric Schmidt and Mark Benioff and T. Rowe Price and Guggenheim and many others.
Jim Breyer.
What, sorry?
Jim Breyer.
Jim Breyer and many others, because we wanted the independent capital to go and scale and serve all the different kinds of companies, governments, and other individuals. So it's been a very exciting number of years, particularly the last 18 months since we spun out. It's been great scaling. But again, what I'm proud of the team is that they've scaled locally in each of the different environments.
So with all those great investors, with Eric Schmidt as the chairman, with you as the CEO, I think we need to invest and we'll be the next Silicon in quantum.
Thank you, François.
Thank you very much, Jack.
Thank you. Merci.
Thank you so much to both of you. Quick photo before we free you. Congratulations on that massive fundraising round. Thank you so much.